Hello, my name is Fredio Salmon Mwijage from Edukea Tanzania. I'm a history teacher. So welcome in this session. We are proceeding with our topic, the first topic in history advanced level, which is the rise of capitalism. And the last session we ended on the rise of demographic revolution. So today we are going to see another factor for the rise of capitalism in Europe, which is scientific revolution. And remember that we are still on the first subtopic, which is transition from feudalism to agrarian revolution. So today we are going to look at the fourth factor for the rise of capitalism in Europe, which is scientific revolution. Scientific revolution, what does it mean? Refer to the period of history where major technological changes took place in Europe that paved the way to the rise of industrial capitalism. It means that scientific revolution, these were changes which were happened in technological aspects that took place in Europe and paved the way to the rise of industrial capitalism. It means that there are some technological changes which were brought after that scientific revolution. And some of them were like mathematical studies, agricultural aspects that brought to the scientific revolution, and we will see as they are going on. It began in British textile industries between the 15th to 18th centuries. It means that the technological changes started or began in British textile industries, where industrialists and the other researchers sat down and asked themselves on which ways or strategies we will use to ensure that the production in industry and agricultural activities increasing more and to make more profit. So they come up with various technological changes to assist them and make them in high production in both agricultural and industrial production for maximization of profit. So we have seen that it was started in British textile industries from 15th century to 18th century. So let us see the major changes or technological changes that took place in Europe by that time. There are some technological changes that happened. The first one, it is the discovery of steam engine by James Watt in 1769. This was among of the technological changes that happened during that time, whereby James Watt discovered the steam engine. The steam engine was a machine which would be in pumping water to produce energy for running the industrial machines in production. So this man discovered that machine or engine, steam engine, which enabled or simplified the production of energy that supported the machines in industrial activities. So in another way, that steam engine, in one way or another, it stimulated the production in industrial activities. Another change was the cotton gin by L. Whitney in 1792. Another machine was discovered by L. Whitney, the cotton gin. This was machine which would be to to process cotton raw materials for taking into the industries for production of clothes to be transported to the cold countries in Europe and the other areas internationally. So that man, L. Whitney, discovered another machine which used to process cotton in 1792. The third one, or technological change that took place in Europe, was spinning mill or spinning mill by Samuel Crompton in 1779. You have to remember that during scientific revolution, many scientists emerged to ensure that, and they used their brain to think on about how they will come up with technological advancement for ensuring the high production of both agricultural and industrial activities. So Samuel Crompton in 1779 discovered spinning mill. This was another machine that ensured in production, that ensured in processing of raw materials for production of manufactured goods to be consumed by human. Another technological change was water frame by Richard Arkwright in 1769. The water frame was the machine which was using water in operating, or in its operation, that machine was using water. So Richard Arkwright in 1769 discovered that machine, which also accelerated the capacity of both industrial and the agricultural production that necessitated to the increase of profit maximization during that time. And the last one, but not least, there are many technological changes which were happened during that time, but according to the many things which we have to cover, I have mentioned there little. So ship making in Portugal and Spain in the 15th century. Another technological change was ship making, the building of ship or ships. In Portugal and Spain, these were countries in Europe which employed themselves in ship buildings. What were their aims for building ships? Those ships were used to transport many things. First of all, raw materials from productive areas to industrial area. Another one, or another aim of ships, were transporting manufactured goods from the productive or industrial areas to the market. For example, manufactured goods which were transported from Europe to other overseas areas like in America, India, Africa, and other areas where Americans traveled to and find or search for market. So you can see how these technological changes stimulated to the development of industrial technology or industrial activities. So let us, after looking at the technological changes that took place in Europe by that time, let us see the contribution of scientific revolution to the development of capitalism. After those changes took place in Europe, so these changes contributed much in the development of capitalism. Let us see them. The first one was the revolution replaced human labor. In which sense? You have to bear this in your mind. Those are changes or technological changes which were discovered For example, discovery of spinning mold by Samuel Crompton simplified the spinning of raw materials which were to be used for production of various goods. So human labor were no longer in use. So the number of laborers to be employed to perform a certain work were reduced due to the presence of machines which replaced their presence there or their need. Another one, there are some machines like seed drills and crop harvesters. Instead of using human beings as laborers to harvest and to drill seeds, machines were used. So you can see how the human labor were no longer in need. So it's due to the use of machines contributed to the high production, because machines were performing a job for a short period of time compared to human beings or human labor. So you can see how capitalism was growing due to the scientific revolution. Another contribution of scientific revolution to the development of capitalism, it is simplified the transportation of industrial goods and raw materials. For example, in 1792, Murdoch discovered the railway. It means that due to the scientific revolution which took place in Europe, means the transportation process of raw materials from the productive areas to the industries was simplified, and the transportation of manufactured goods from the industries to the market was possible because there are enough ships or transport means. By that time, they were using ships, canoes, and boats. So, these transport means simplified the activities of accessing those goods to the consumers. So you can see how the capitalism was developed due to the presence of transport means like ships, as Murdoch in 1792 discovered railway. Another contribution, it modernized the agricultural sector. During scientific revolution, you have to know that there were changes that happened. We have seen various machines which were discovered during that time. So in agriculture, like steam engine, water frame, spinning mold, the cotton gin, and other machines which I have not mentioned here, like a seed drill, crop harvesters, contributed much to modernize agriculture compared to the feudal mode of production. So during this time, agriculture was modernized, whereby scientific methods of agriculture were used, like the use of fertilizers. In which sense? During this time, scientists come up with various strategies on the use of science and technology to produce fertilizers that will be used in agriculture, whereby those fertilizers added nutrients in the soil and the production was increased. So you can see, due to the discovery or due to the emergence of scientific revolution led to the development of capitalism. Another contribution, it led to the expansion of towns and cities. You have to bear this in your mind, that where there is development of science, and science go with hand in hand with technology, where there is those two things, there will be development. So after the scientific revolution, various towns and cities were grown due to the accumulation of people there. They migrated from rural areas after the collapse of feudal modes of production and they resided in towns or urban areas, and they started to participate or involve themselves in various economic production. Like artisans, craftsmen produced various goods which were sold or which were produced for commerce or sale purpose. So you can see those people who were establishing settlement in urban areas led to the development of capitalism, whereby those towns and cities acted as the trading centers, source of market, source of raw materials, source of laborers for industrial production and agricultural production. So hence led to the development of capitalism in Europe. Another factor or fifth contribution to the development of capitalism, it is led to the accessibility of overseas market. In which way? Scientific revolution led to the accessibility of overseas market, whereby technological changes appeared or emerged like ship building or ship making. These ships were used to transport the manufactured goods from the productive areas to overseas areas like in Africa, in America, India, Caribbean, Mexico, Brazil, and other areas to search market for their manufactured goods that led to maximize profit and the development of capitalism in Europe. The last one but not least, it contributed to demographic revolution. During scientific revolution, various strategies and measures or ways to combat diseases which were killing people by that time in medieval era. But in this time, in scientific revolution or scientific era or period, scientists come up with research on how they will cure and treat the deadly diseases like typhoid, cholera, and the others. So, scientific revolution in one way or another contributed to the demographic revolution, whereby people were getting good health services, clean water, good housing, because the science and technology has been advancing. So people will increase, they will produce themselves, and the food were abundant. So probably it will lead to the increase of population, and that population will act as the source of market and source of what? Of labor. So probably the manufactured goods which were being produced and the production of raw materials were increased due to the presence of that demographic or population that were increased. These were the contribution that made by scientific revolution to the development of capitalism in Europe. The fifth factor for the rise of capitalism. We have finished the first factor for the rise of capitalism in Europe. Another factor is Black Death, or the Black Death and or bubonic plague. Remember, we are proceeding with the factors for the rise of capitalism in Europe. So this is the fifth one. What is Black Death? Black Death this was the outbreak of deadly disease which occurred firstly in China in 1330s and entered in Europe through Turkey, Greece, Italy and Spain by August 1349. It means that the Black Death or bubonic plague was a deadly or terrible deadly disease which started in China by that year or by this year. It was killing mass population and later entered in Europe. In European nations, that disease was entered through Turkey, Greece, Italy, Spain in this period, August 1349. So that disease was caused by the rodents, or was much affecting the rodents, but the flies transmitted to the people. Why is this disease called Black Death, by the way, can be asked? Or you can ask yourself, what is Black Death? Why they called it Black Death? It is because this disease was produced or were producing black spots on the skin. So due to that, those black spots which were produced on the skin, that they decided to call that disease the Black Death or bubonic plague. So the name of Black Death was resulted from those black spots which were produced on the skin. So the disease mainly affected rodents, but flies transmitted it to people. So this disease was resulted from the rodents. So the flies transmitted it to people. This terrible killer disease spread across Europe, and the medieval medicine failed to combat it. It means that this terrible killer disease spread across Europe or all over Europe, and the medieval medicine that were being used by that time failed to cure or to combat or to treat it. So it led to the massacring of people. So men, landlords, peasants and tenants and others like noble people were dead. After 5 years, about 25 million people died. After 5 years, so in 1354, about 25 million people were died due to that Black Death or bubonic plague. For example, one of 3 of the European population died, and that's about 2/3 in England alone. It means that in European population, 1/3 of population was died, and 2/3 was from England only. So you can see how that disease killed a large number of people, including landlords, peasants, and tenants. So due to the death that caused by that disease led to the collapse of feudalism in Europe and the rise of capitalism. After looking the definition of Black Death or bubonic plague, its periodization and how it was transmitted, let us see how it contributed to the rise of capitalism in Europe. The contribution of bubonic plague to the rise of capitalism. The first contribution, it killed men landlords in Europe. So how the killing of landlords or men landlords in Europe led to the rise of capitalism. It means that after the death of landlords, peasants and serfs, the land that were owned by the landlords remained free. And those landlords were no longer there. So the feudal mode of production probably would collapse. So in that way, that mode of production, which is feudal mode of production, collapsed and gave the way to capitalism to take the chance. So the death of landlords or main death of landlords in Europe led to the rise of capitalism in Europe. The second contribution, it is the disease led to the workers' demand of high wages. The disease led to the workers' demand of high wages. In which sense? After the outbreak or eruption of that terrible killing disease, the peasants or serfs were affected by that disease. So they demanded high wages to be paid from the landlords in order to cure or to treat or searching the way on how they will combat that disease, because it affected them at high extent. So those workers decided to demand high wages from their landlords, and those landlords failed to pay and refused to pay them. So what they decided, they started to impose or to employ on revolts and strikes. So the most of production which were taking place by that time probably could collapse. So that gave the room for capitalism to take the chance. The third contribution, it's related to the free of feudal lords, farms and livestock. Another contribution of Black Death to the rise of capitalism, it means that the landlords, farms and livestock were free after their death. In the first point, we have seen that the main landlords were dead. So after their death, those feudal lords, farms and livestock become free. So those immediate commercial merchants or capitalists took those that farms and the livestock for free, and they decided to take the control over them. That led to the rise of capitalism. The last one, but not least, it led to the change of ideas of serfs and peasants. It means that the Black Death or bubonic plague changed the mind of serfs and peasants, because they got the lesson that after the problem to occur, the landlords failed or decided to refuse on paying the workers or serfs and tenants their demands. So they got the lesson that if you don't involve ourselves in production or searching for another jobs or offering the labor in other people, we will die and we will not survive. So they decided to migrate from the rural areas to urban areas searching for jobs, and that's why led to the feudal mode of production to collapse and gave the chance for capitalism to prevail in air. There is exercise here, 2 questions. The first one, it is show the contribution of scientific revolution to the development of capitalism. To show the contribution of scientific revolution to the rise of capitalism. The second question is define Black Death and explain its roles to the rise of capitalism in Europe. So you have to Ask those questions yourself and you have to come up with answers. Thank you for watching me and listening me. We'll meet on the next session.